Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Opening day, Alec Box Stadium coming your way on Friday afternoon. We'll talk a little LSU baseball today. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. LSU basketball lost over the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get into some LSU football a little bit later in hour number 2. And oh, by the way, the Super Bowl was last night. We'll talk plenty about that as well. So let's crank it up the way we do every day. That's with our opening drive.
Welcome to the big league.
It's time for Hunt's Opening Drive. Presented by Fabry Chevrolet GMC in St. Francisville.
Seahawks are the world champs. They beat New England last night convincingly 29-13. As I was watching the game last night, I had two kind of prevailing thoughts. One of them was this felt a lot like LSU Alabama in the 2011 into 2012 national championship game. You looked up, it was just a bunch of field goals from Seattle, kind of a slow death for New England. They couldn't get anything going offensively. We got 30 points in the fourth quarter, so it wasn't exactly like LSU and Alabama, but it felt that way for a considerable amount of time. And the second thing I thought about is you hear a lot of folks, and we got this a lot last year when we were at the Super Bowl for a week in New Orleans. A lot of folks were like, oh, I'm so sick of the Chiefs, so sick of Mahomes, and after a long time, I'm so sick of Brady, so sick of watching Peyton Manning. Like, it's just, people, I'm so tired of watching LeBron. You get the people that they recognize that there is excellence, but they just want something different, right? And sometimes if you don't get Mahomes, you get Sam Darnold and Drake May. And that's just not as good as Mahomes, right? That's what I felt like watching it. Now, look, I do appreciate really good defense, and Seattle's defense is sensational. They've got great personnel on every level. They've got a fantastic coach, and their defense is legit. And I don't believe that last night just completely exposed a fraudulent Patriots team. Was it an elite Patriots team? Was it as good as some of those Chiefs teams? Was it as good as some of the old Patriot teams? No, it was not. They were a beneficiary of a light schedule. But in any event, for you to go 1-2 to start the season and then rattle off 10 straight wins and have your only blemish from the third week of September through the Super Bowl being a 4-point loss to the Bills, like, that's a good season. They're a good team. Drake May is a good player. He played horrendously last night under horribly adverse circumstances. There are not a lot of quarterbacks that were going to stand in there based on what he saw in the secondary and what he was getting up front. Not a lot of quarterbacks are going to be able to thrive in that environment. Now, he got so far out of rhythm that he started to miss throws that were very makeable. There were some times where he had no chance, but there were some times where there were throws to be made, and he wasn't making those either. He played very, very poorly. This is something I talk about a lot because we've had the good fortune of covering a lot of really important games throughout all the sports that we cover with our local teams. You can't necessarily control how you play when you get to the biggest moment. Sometimes, if we're talking LSU baseball, like Ty Floyd shows up and throws the best game he's ever thrown. Sometimes you show up the next day and you can't get anybody out. That happened in Florida, went nuts. Sometimes you play your best in the best moment. LSU's women's basketball team in the final game against Iowa couldn't miss. They played their best offensive game of the year in that last game. And sometimes you don't play well. And in the game last night, like, Drake May just didn't play well. But Seattle's defense had so much to do with that. And I think that Seattle was the best team in football this year. I think they are a worthy champion. And I think last night they didn't get a great punch from New England. I was reading about the game last night, and Bill Barnwell, who writes for ESPN.com, wrote a piece on some analytical things that you wouldn't pick up just watching the game, and I found it to be an interesting read. And he talked about how the Seahawks drastically increased their blitz percentage. And it's not something he felt in watching the tape and studying the numbers that New England was prepared for. And a lot's going to be made of Will Campbell's day. I've refreshed the Pro Football Focus grades a few times today. They have not come up. They have not been published yet. Obviously, his is going to be rough. He had a tough go of it last night against the best front in the league. DeMarcus Lawrence was getting after it. They were blitzing. I mean, I didn't think the first sack on the first drive was Campbell's fault. He's engaged, and his guard comes over and literally knocked the rusher out of his grasp. But play in, play out, Will got beat pretty bad. And still, though, the Patriots defense was good enough to keep them in that game. Now, this became completely inconsequential, but because the game wasn't super competitive, it's something that stood out to me in watching the game. What is Mike Vrabel doing on 2-point conversion decisions? I've tried to go over this and come up with any justification whatsoever, and I can't do it. There is a new trend of going for 2 when you get down 15 to there's a new trend that suggests you need to know how many 2-point conversions you have and maximize the amount of times you get to do it. And I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do understand it. What Vrabel did last night, I have no idea about. They scored a touchdown last night, their first touchdown, their first points of the game, right? And it was 19-0. This is as easy as it can possibly be. It's the fourth quarter, it's 19-0, and you score. The fastest way to 19 is clearly 8-8-3. And they kicked the extra point. To go down 19-7 and be down 12? I can't possibly reconcile that. And then they scored another touchdown at the end of the game, and it was decided. It was 29-7 when they scored. And that made it 29-13, which is a 16-point game. And he went for 2 to get it to 14. 15 and 14 are still 2 touchdowns. Sometimes I think, I watch these games, and I think these coaches know so much about the schematics of football. And they're brilliant in that way, creating matchups and motivating men and scouting players. And they do. And then you get to these things that just appear to me to be so simple. And sometimes football coaches just don't get it. I didn't hear Mike Vrabel asked about these decisions because they were inconsequential. They lost the game 29-13 with 10 minutes to go in the game. They weren't really in it. But not going for 2 when you start down 19 and score a touchdown blows my mind. It blows my mind. And then trying to go from 16 to 14 doesn't make any sense either. I wouldn't really have. Well, I guess if it was a close game, it would have been really important. But generally speaking, in a blowout, who cares what these decisions are? But they were so odd to me, I had to bring it up. I had to bring it up. Now, you look back at this thing, and what are the storylines you take from it? What is the memory that you take from this? I think it etches this Seattle defense into some of the better defenses that we've seen. I'm not going to put them with the 85 Bears and the Ravens and Tampa. I'm not going to do that, but it was really, really, really good. And I feel like the Patriots were a good team that got quality breaks. We talked time and time again about Josh Allen getting into the playoffs with no Burrow and no Mahomes and no Lamar Jackson, and it was like a narrative around Josh Allen. And in fact, it was the Patriots who, used that benefit. They beat a banged-up Chargers team in the first round. They beat the Texans in the second round at home, who were okay. And then they got the Broncos in a snowstorm with the backup quarterback. And so they were the ones who capitalized on that. I think there are a lot of people calling this Patriots team frauds. I think there are a lot of people calling this Patriots team the worst team that's ever been in a Super Bowl. Like, I'm not here to go that far with the situation. I think the Patriots had a damn good football team that won a ton of games in the NFL. Yes, I understand that if you go through their schedule and look at the wins, it's Carolina, it's the Saints, it's the Titans, it's the Browns, it's the Falcons, the Bucks, the Jets, Bengals. And you got the Giants and the Ravens who weren't as good, and they beat the Jets. And I get it. Like, I understand they weren't beating the best in the league, but we know how difficult it is to win games in that league. And it wasn't like they were just winning like most of the time. They won all the time. After they started 1-2, they won every game except one, a 4-point loss to a really good Buffalo team. So it wasn't as if they got outclassed by Buffalo. They got outclassed last night by the best team in the league. Seattle was the best team in the league. And I think it's really impressive that organization turned things around from the Russell Wilson, Carroll era, decided to make a transition, and it happened pretty quickly. And I think if you're a Saints fan, you look back at that game, and you go, okay, like there was a significant overhaul in Seattle and New England 3, 2, 1 year ago, depending on, Seattle was 3 years ago and New England was a year ago. And they turned it around pretty quickly. Now, salary cap situations, very different. Yes, but you can take it from the bottom of the barrel towards the top pretty quickly in the NFL if you do things properly. And clearly, Seattle did things very properly with its roster construction, and I think that New England is set up to have a good run here. They're going to get better. Drake May's going to be better than he was. Will Campbell will be better than he was. They just ran into a buzzsaw last night, and to me, I thought it was really impressive to watch Seattle play, and I was not completely bored by the first 3 quarters of the game. I thought it was great to watch their defense play, and it was fairly competitive. But in the end, they were just significantly better and got it to the house. So Sam Darnold, Super Bowl champion quarterback. I talked about it on Friday, how I said after LSU won the Natty that Joe Burrow was already better than Sam Darnold, who was in the NFL and Joe was in college. I probably still stand by that, but I didn't have Sam Darnold on his 3rd NFL stop making the Super Bowl champion out of Seattle. So impressive stuff for him, and a great renaissance of his career, and probably another black mark in the column for the Jets over there, who just tend to not do things the right way. So I was entertained last night. I thought it was a good Super Bowl for 3.5 quarters, and I think we got a worthy champion. So I'll take that. That'll be the end of the notion for the Super Bowl. I do want to talk a little bit about the event that was the Super Bowl at the end of the hour, but we'll transition to some LSU baseball. It's out there on Saturday afternoon, and saw some scrimmaging. Also saw a little bit or saw some statistics from an earlier game this weekend. So just some thoughts on what I saw this weekend from LSU baseball. We'll get to that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety's a big deal in the bathroom, especially as folks age. So if there's somebody in your life who is aging, wants to stay home, but you feel like there could be a hazardous situation there, well, do what you can to mitigate it. You can't erase the risk, but you can mitigate against it. Non-slip floors, walk-in tubs that are more convenient, safer, more comfortable. You can put benches and showers, guardrails, and some slippery places. These could be impactful additions to a bathroom if there's someone in your life that is aging. So call David and have that free consultation. That part doesn't cost you a cent. And if you decide what you want to do, you think you might want to do financing, they've got it. 0% up to 18 months if you qualify. That is same as cash. Reach out for that free consultation online at OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
We'll do a preview of right field. It's Jake Brown's spot this year coming up in our next segment. But I want to do kind of a general overview of what I saw when I went out to the baseball scrimmage on Saturday. Just perfect weather. Could not have been better. This weekend was literally perfect weather in Hunt Palmer's view. There's not a cloud in the sky on Saturday or Sunday. Temp was like right at like 70, 71. Just warm enough, but not hot. I don't need cool. I mean, it's okay. It's better than the alternative, but like if we're talking perfect, it was warm enough. It was incredible out there at the box. And now, of course, I just looked at my Twitter profile, and the WFB meteorologist says like a torrential storm's coming on Saturday for the second day of baseball season. Surprise, surprise. Probably have a delay this weekend. But it was great to get out to the box on Saturday and watch a little bit of baseball. Saw the pitcher that stood out to me actually is the pitcher that I saw the least of. It was Ethan Plog. And I have spoken with some people inside the program about Plog dating back to the fall, and they really, really like what they've seen from him to this point. He's not somebody that is getting a lot of headline attention right now. When you look at your top prospect lists, or you look at D1 Baseball ranking the top 50 first basemen, top 50 right fielders, this and that, and you look at the coaches, all SEC teams, like Ethan Plog's never going to show up on any of that. But he can be a huge piece to what LSU is looking to do this year from the left side. And he's kind of lanky. He's got a little bit of a herky-jerky motion. He kind of short arms it. And the left-handed hitters just don't get a good look at it. They turned the radar guns off at the box like 2.5 weeks ago. Jay found out that the people were posting the velocities on the internet and took that down. He's admitted that in public. He doesn't want Milwaukee to know how hard LSU's pitchers throw. So that's his prerogative. I'm fine with it. It does hinder my ability to tell you how hard Ethan Plog throws. I'm not sure. I don't have a radar gun. I could guess, and it'd be somewhere around 91 miles an hour, but he might throw 94, 95. I'm not sure. But he short arms it. It's whippy. It's out of the stretch. He's a bullpen guy, but he's going to be a difficult matchup for left-handed hitters. And I don't foresee Plog being a key cog in LSU's starting rotation. I don't know that he's the closer. I think he is going to come in when there's a really good left-handed hitter or two coming up, and he's going to be asked to deal with those guys. And that is a crucial piece to have, and it feels like that is where he's going to fit in. They've got some options for left-handers. Cooper Williams. Santiago Garcia is another left-hander that comes from Oregon that I think they're going to use in some high-leverage spots out of the bullpen. Danny Lockenmeyer comes over from North Dakota State, who's got some real talent. But I think Plog is the guy right now that I think is the lefty specialist, and I saw him on Saturday in the last inning, and he just looked fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing him coming up this weekend on opening weekend out at the box. You'll notice when Ethan Plog goes out there because his delivery is a little bit different than just about everybody else on the staff. I was a little bit terrified on Saturday. I'll be pretty candid with you there. Cade Arambidi in the first inning fouled a ball off of his foot/ankle and did not go back to his at-bat, and then did not go play in the field, and then I didn't see him in the dugout, and I'm going, that is not good, because Cade Arambidi is very clearly LSU's best defensive catcher and best offensive catcher at this point as well. Like, he is the clear-cut catcher, number one on this team, and I was just a little bit concerned that you got an injury right into the season. And so I was curious to see if he would come out on Sunday and play. He did. He DH'd. He did not catch. So I think just a nick, as Les Miles would say, just pretty uncomfortable probably the next morning. And I think Cade Arambidi is going to be just fine. But I was concerned watching him leave the field. Like, he was in so much pain that Jay Johnson stopped the inning, said flip it, and got the defense to go out there. But if you're just tuning in going, wait, what, who's hurt? Nobody's hurt. Cade Arambidi just fouled a ball off his foot, but he appears to be just fine. I was curious how they would line up the infield as well. Trent Carraway continues to be the third baseman. Obviously, Stephen Milam is going to play short. Saw Seth Dardar playing second base. Saw Tanner Reeves playing second base. Braden Simpson has kind of played a little bit of everywhere. He's played some second, and he's in the mix there. He's also played some first, usually on the other team opposite Zach York. I think York is the first baseman, but Simpson has shown he can play that position. And then when Arambidi got hurt, Simpson went back and caught. Now, they have Cerna and they have Yaman, so they have two other guys who are catchers on this team. I wouldn't classify Simpson as a catcher, but he might be the emergency catcher if you end up having a lot of injuries. Remember in Jay Johnson's first year, like Travinsky got hurt and Milazzo got hurt, and then like McManus was hurt, but he was the least hurt of the three, so he basically had to just play on one leg. And then Jay Johnson said, I'm never going to run out of catchers again. So they're a little bit light on depth at catcher. They've only got three, and you got Arambidi, who I think could be a star. You got Cerna, who I think will be a star in time, and then you've got Eddie Yaman, who is a depth piece at the catcher position. Speaking of Cerna, though, he homered on Saturday on a pitch that looked kind of like he was a little bit fooled on. He was a little bit out on his front foot and still rifled it into the left field seats. And that is just another example of his prodigious power. I was really, really taken back the first time I saw Omar Cerna at practice in the fall, because you can look at YouTube videos and you can look at the listed height and weight, and you can get a sense of it. But I think the best thing is to actually see the guy in the uniform. And Omar Cerna is enormous. He's 6'3". He's 235, 240 pounds. He is so strong. He generates a ton of bat speed. It's a pretty long swing, and he does swing and miss a good bit, making this transition up to high-level college baseball from the high school ranks. But I wrote this in my catcher preview at louisianasports.net, and all the position previews are up there for free if you'd like to get some baseball content in your life today or this week. But I wrote this, that he might have the most power in the baseball program right now. Like, Jared Jones is gone. I think Cerna might have the most power on the team. Like, Jake Brown is certainly in the discussion. Mason Braun is in the discussion. Zach York is in the discussion. Trent Caraway is in the discussion. I'm not sure Cerna does not have the most pop. Now, he's not nearly the hitter in terms of the complete arsenal that some of those other guys are. He needs some time to develop. He needs to see more. But I'm hopeful that Jay Johnson gets him some at-bats early in the season, because the upside on him is just through the roof. And I would love it if he could potentially become sort of a bench weapon on this team. I don't know if I'm betting on it. He's got some adjustments to make, and he does swing and miss a good bit. But look, if he can fill the role like John Pearson filled last year, which John Pearson's still on the team and maybe filling that role this year too. But John Pearson was kind of asked, hey, we've got a left-hander coming up here. It's a tough lefty on the mound. Can you go in there and pinch hit here in the 8th? And, like, he didn't have a ton of success doing it, but that was the role that he played. And Cerna is just got a little bit more natural ability than John Pearson does. And watching him smash the ball into the seats on Saturday was really impressive. One thing this weekend I did not see, but it is absolutely positively worth mentioning here to wrap this segment. William Schmidt probably had his best outing in a year and a half over the weekend. He had 11 strikeouts in 4 innings and did not give up a run. I didn't see it, so I can't speak to exactly what it looked like. But that's one you can't fake. You can fake a 2 for 3 with a swinging bunt and a flare over the first baseman's head that you never hit the ball hard, but you went 2 for 3. You can fake an 0 for 4. You can hit 3 line drives and one that hits as a warning track, and your box score says 0 for 4, but you had a good day of practice. You can't really fake 11 strikeouts in 4 innings. That's not – you can fake 1 strikeout. Yeah, I misfired with that breaking ball, kind of backed up on me, but he didn't expect it, and he swung through it. You can't fake 11. And I've said this dating back to when we started previewing this team. Like, there are a couple of players whose ceiling is so high that it drastically alters how this team looks. Cade Arambidi is one. William Schmidt is another. Trent Caraway is another. And so when you look at Schmidt individually, and I've said this plenty of times, and I'll continue to until we get deep into the season. If you told me that William Schmidt struggled with throwing strikes and was kind of relegated to some midweek action and was not a high-leverage bullpen piece for this LSU team, I would suggest that's not an irrational thing to project. It's what he was last year. If he hasn't made significant strides, there's enough depth on this team from a pitching perspective that they won't have to force him into action. They've got other options. But if you told me that he became LSU's ace or LSU's number 2, I would tell you that's the best thing for LSU this year to reach the goals that they set. Because there just aren't any other pitchers on that team with his upside that can touch 99 with the fastball, that can spin a breaking ball like that. He's got ability that some of the other guys just don't have. Cooper Moore can put all the work he wants into being the best pitcher he can be. He is not going to throw 99 this year, and he's not going to spin the ball as well as William Schmidt. Zach Cowan can't do what William Schmidt can do. And those guys are starting pitching options for this LSU team. Even Cooper Williams doesn't have the natural ability that William Schmidt does. You're looking at guys like Kason Evans, Maverick Rizzi, Devin Sheeran, Marcos Paz. Like, that's the group that has this amazing high-end talent. But with that comes a low floor. And Schmidt's floor, we saw last year, is 11 walks in 2 SEC innings. 11 walks in 2 innings. He got 6 outs. He walked 11 guys in league play last year. And we can't check that box off until March. He could go out there and start this weekend. And I would think that's if he did something great like that, if he struck out 8 in 4 innings and didn't allow a hit or walk anybody, I would go, that's great. That's a step in the right direction. It doesn't fix the SEC side of things. It's a step in the right direction. It doesn't fix the SEC side of things. But if you're going to ask me what's the most direct path to LSU becoming a force and a team that can compete to win the national championship this year, what's the most direct path to that? I would tell you Kason Evans and William Schmidt become dominant. That's the most direct path. They can do it without that. They can do it with really good offense and with exceptional bullpen depth where they're using 4 relievers a game, where they're only asking their starter to get 14, 15, 17 outs instead of asking Anderson and Ianson to – Anderson and Ianson got 27, 50-ish outs in the championship series. Like Chase Shores had to come in and I think get 5. Like, that's the most direct path. But if you have to scale that way back and ask your starters to go 5 innings and then just parade all these talented bullpen guys out there, you can win that way. It can be done. But the most direct path is William Schmidt and Kason Evans becoming stars. And it sounds like what William Schmidt did over the weekend was star stuff. It's a great sign, but he's got to carry it forward. He is among the most impactful pieces to the 2026 puzzle. And in his final tune-up over the weekend, he may have been the best he's been. And that's very, very exciting stuff. I'm hopeful to get a chance to see him coming up this weekend in an extended outing. I think he'll start one of the games over the course of the weekend. It's a weird spot for LSU because they've got 5 games in 6 days to start the season. They'll play Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So just taking Tuesday off. And Schmidt will start one of those games, and I'm curious to see how it goes. Hopefully, it looks like it did over the weekend because that was awesome stuff from the Tiger sophomore. All right, let's take a time out. We did a bunch of position previews last week. We'll continue that. We'll go to right field next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. SwingEasyGCBR.com is the website. I was outside my front yard over the weekend on Saturday. My next door neighbor was hosting a birthday party for a 1-year-old, had a bunch of family in town. He looked at me and said, "Hey, we're heading over to Swing Easy tonight." I said, "Oh, awesome. I haven't been on like a Saturday night. Tell me how it is." He went. Rave reviews, said the place was popping. The bays were full and was able to get in there, and they played a little Pebble Beach over at Swing Easy Golf Club on Saturday night. Make a night of it. Make a day of it. Swing Easy Golf Club's an awesome place to go play a little bit of golf. It might rain hard coming on Saturday. Doesn't mean you can't play some golf. Go into Swing Easy in the controlled elements. Tee it up, TPC Sawgrass. Tee it up at Cypress Point, Pebble Beach, with your friends, by yourself. Get that bucket of beers delivered in. Crank the tunes, watch some TV. It's an awesome spot to go for the weekend or on a Monday night looking to hit some balls. Swing Easy Golf Club is on Segan at Perkins. SwingEasyGCBR.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Get some additional thoughts on the Super Bowl coming up in our next segment. We've got to go over my bets from Friday. Get a review of the food that I cooked last night. Do some of that coming up, and we'll talk some LSU basketball as well as football in hour number 2. But right now, we're doing our position previews. Kind of knocked a lot of them out last week, but we still have right field to handle, and we'll talk some pitching as we move forward into the week. The right field last year for LSU was a platoon. Jake Brown hit against right-handers and hit a ton. And Josh Pearson was asked to go in there against left-handers. He gave a little bit better of a bat than Jake Brown did against left-handed pitching. Brown struggles with the left-handed breaking ball a little bit. He homered against Missouri off a left-handed hitter and left-handed pitcher in the first conference weekend of the season. But ultimately, Pearson got a lot of those at-bats down the line. This year, that won't happen. Jake Brown's going to be the dude in the lineup in right field, right-hander or left-hander. And he played 44 games last year as a starter in right field. He hit .320 with 8 home runs and 9 doubles. I wanted to see how many at-bats he lost in that platoon. And he had 100 less at-bats than Jared Jones, who played every day last year. He started all 68 games. So you're talking about a guy that hit .320 with 8 home runs and 9 doubles, missing 100 at-bats. So if he doesn't improve at all and just is what he was last year, you add those 100 at-bats, a lot of those would be against right-handed pitching. Against left-handed pitching, obviously. And so you probably add a couple of homers, but you probably take some points off the batting average, fair to say. So if he doesn't improve at all, you're looking at a guy who's probably a .295 hitter with 12, 13 home runs. And that's a good player in right field. Like, that's a solid, productive right fielder. What you're hoping for is that he becomes a star. He had a good year last year. You're hoping he becomes a star. And I think the odds of that are actually pretty good because he's so talented. I was talking to somebody in the program back in December about Brown and about the work they've put in. And let's just say, based on the tone of the conversation I had, there's real confidence that Brown's going to be just fine against left-handers. There is actually some confidence that he was fine against left-handers last year, but they felt that it was a positive to get Josh Pearson in the lineup. They felt it was a positive thing. And Pearson had his best year as a Tiger last year. Really played well. I think I had his stats in the preview piece. He finished with 27 career home runs and 129 RBI. He was an all-regional team in 2022, 2023, and 2024. But Pearson had a solid year. But Brown is a significantly more talented player. He's faster. He's got a bigger arm. He's got more power. And Pearson was a good player. But Brown can be a star, and that's what you're hoping for. I think if assuming that LSU faces a right-hander on opening day, you're going to see Jake Brown, I think, in the 3-hole to start the season. And he has got big pull-side power, showed some power to the middle of the field. Has not really shown much backside power at this point. That's not something you see a ton of in college baseball, just the best of the best hitters. But maybe he develops that this year. And I think Jake Brown is going to hit .315 this year, which is 5 points lower than last year, but keep in mind you're going to see him against lefties, so I don't think his batting average is going to be as high. It could be, but I think it'll tip a little bit. I think the home run numbers do go up significantly, and I think he's a 15 home run player for LSU this year. They're going to try to get this thing done from a power perspective with a bunch of guys hitting between 9 and 15. You start to go through the lineup, and Stanfield's not going to hit between 9 and 15. The rest of the group, I think, can. I think Curiel can. I know Brown can. I know Caraway can. I know Milam can. I'm confident the second base group will produce that as a whole. They've all got some power in their bat. Reeves has power from the left side. Dardar hit double-digit home runs for Kansas State last year. Simpson hit 22 for High Point last year. You'll get power from that position. I think Zach York will hit between 9 and 15 home runs. Aaron Beatty absolutely can. So you got power sprinkled throughout the lineup in a solid 6 or 7 in the going to 10. You don't have Jared Jones in the lineup here. You don't have Dylan Cruz in the lineup here. I'm not even sure you've got a lot. You don't have Tommy White. Like it's just a bunch of guys that have some power. It's part of their game as hitters. I wouldn't say you have power hitters. And Brown could lead the team in home runs, I think. I think that's a reasonable expectation for him. I don't know that he will, but he could lead the team in home runs. So I'm excited to see him get an entire season to play. Another nugget that I added in my position preview at LouisianaSports.net, Jake Brown led the team with 11 steals last year and missed 100 at-bats. So he could be a 15-steal guy as well. That's an encouraging piece to the puzzle. Speaking of running, there's a weapon on this roster that I don't think anybody is talking about right now, and that's for good reason. I don't expect a lot of pinch runner breakdowns in January and February. I'm going to give you one here, though. They've got a real weapon in William Patrick on the bench, and I filed him into the right field category. He's probably more accurately depicted as a center fielder, but he is the best athlete on the team. That includes Curiel, that includes Brown, that includes all these guys. William Patrick is the best athlete on the team. He was an all-state football player playing wide receiver, free safety, and punter. Okay, all-state. Then he was a state champion long jumper, and he ran on a 4x100 relay team that placed second in the state. So track star, football star, baseball star, obviously, and he's just a freak athlete. And this is the Andrew Stevenson argument that I tell you about just about every year in the summer and the fall. Andrew Stevenson is such a great athlete, became a big league ball player, played in the big leagues. But growing up, he just played whatever sport was in season. He was a really good wide receiver for St. Thomas More. And he got to LSU, and he wasn't ready to hit. But he figured it out in the first summer on Cape Cod. Like, he left the team that was really, really good in 2013. They went to Omaha and went 2-0. And then he went to Cape Cod, and after hitting like 190 as a freshman, he went to Cape Cod and hit like 360. And then he came back to LSU and hit like 360. You get all these athletic traits, and then you focus them all on baseball, some really good things can happen. And that is what they hope William Patrick's future is. But for right now, right this second, you're in a tie game, you're down 1, Zach York doubles to left field, William Patrick in. Aaron Beatty draws a walk in a tie game in the 9th, Patrick. Seth Dardar, William Patrick. I think that's probably where the list stops. I don't know how Trent Carraway runs, but LSU has a couple of weapons speed-wise on the bench. Daniel Harden has good speed, but William Patrick is a freak athlete and can fly. So it's just a small piece to the puzzle that you may need, you may not. But it's nice to have in case you need it. If they need a pinch runner at some point, you've got William Patrick who's ready to go. So that's a look at right field. It'll be Jake Brown's job. I think he'll be a star this year, and they've got a guy that's a super athlete. That, again, he's probably more of a center fielder, but I decided to fire him in there in right field in my position preview on LouisianaSports.net. If you're looking for baseball preview content, 2 places I will direct you. Of course, LouisianaSports.net. I've got a ton of position previews up. Just go to the top page and click teams, and then you'll see LSU. Click on it, and you'll see the position previews. You can actually sort that by baseball as well, so you can get baseball-specific stories. And also, Matt Musso and I, every single year, sit down and record our season preview YouTube video, and that is up at our Watch 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. You can also find it on Twitter. The station account tweeted it out earlier this morning. So it's about, I think it's like 50 minutes or so, maybe an hour. If you're looking for LSU baseball, we go around the horn, talk defense, talk pitching, the whole deal. So you can check that out on YouTube. It was published earlier this morning. So that's a look at LSU baseball for the last 30 minutes. We'll put that in the rearview mirror now and move towards Super Bowl, and we'll get into some LSU basketball at the top of the hour. Do want to remind you, my friends, at First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust started up in 1910, still here 116 years later. They've grown to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. There is always one near you. Doesn't matter if you're in St. James Parish, St. John Parish, down in Lafourche, maybe on the I-12 corridor, St. Tammany and Tangipahoa. They are there, and it's part of the community. It's a community bank that's run by community people. So if you're in the market for a home and looking for a loan, First American Bank and Trust can help you. If you're a business looking for that commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust can help you. If you're thinking, what's a community bank? Like, do they have the necessary resources to help my business? Absolutely. 25 locations worth. Do business with someone that's right here in your community. The decisions that are made for First American Bank and Trust, they're not made in Seattle or Atlanta. They're made right here in our communities in Southeast Louisiana. It's First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. We'll come back. Let's look at my bets from the Super Bowl, as well as a thought on the halftime show. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Look, if you're picking your broker, oftentimes folks just gravitate towards the lowest premium. And that's one way to do it. I've been in the insurance business. I know how that goes. But do you know what you're buying with that lowest price? Do you know that you're covered? Do you have the peace of mind to know that if there's a car accident, to know that if one of your employees clicks the wrong link in an email and you're compromised, if there's a hurricane that rolls through and you can't get into the building and access your place of work for a week, are you covered? If you don't know the answers to those questions, work with the Highland Insurance Group. they pride themselves on their technical knowledge and expertise. Yes, they consider premium always. They know how important that is. They can shop, get the best rate from the dozens of carriers they're contracted with, but they also are experts in understanding where that coverage comes from and making sure that you are covered in the event of a loss. Contact Jonathan Carver and the team at the Highland Insurance Group. They're online at highlandig.com. That's highlandig.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from my
What was on the menu for you last night, Jordan?
Rotisserie chicken. I didn't go to a Super Bowl party or I just stayed at the house. So no, I just had a rotisserie chicken.
Just picked it apart and ate it just like that?
I mean, you do what you got to do, man. No, just a salad too. Like nothing. No,
Right.
like I could have went to a crawfish boil.
I cooked a crawfish crab spinach dip.
That sounds good.
It was 10 out of 10. I made taquitos. That was like a 5 out of 10.
You're a taquito guy?
Just weren't great. It's the first time I ever tried to make them, but just didn't. Not a lot of flavor. I got to go way heavier on the taco seasoning next time. It's just kind of bland. But enjoyed just the environment that is the Super Bowl. The commercials. I had one favorite commercial for sure. I thought the Budweiser with the eagle was incredible. I just thought that was clearly the best one. And then for me, a child of the 90s AI thing with all the sitcom characters, like that was a cool 30 seconds of nostalgia that I enjoyed. But the runaway best commercial to me was the Budweiser eagle.
I'm gonna be real. I didn't really enjoy none of the commercials this year. It just felt. I don't know what they're missing in me. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like it, like when I was a kid, maybe it's just you're more easily
older.
entertained when you're a kid, but I thought when I was a kid they were
amazing. Like when I felt like growing up,
Yeah.
that was the whole point. Not the whole point of the Super Bowl, but like that was the main thing. Like, I'm trying to see what some of the commercials are. Now it's like, all right, cool, I get a gambling one. It's just like none of these commercials are just nothing. I'm truly feel like I'm purchasing.
A lot of AI.
Gambling,
But I thought that there were a few good ones. How do we feel about halftime?
I'm gonna be. Look, you're gonna be like, dude, what is going on with this guy? So during halftime, I went and got gas for my car. Like I was like,
That's all right.
And I'm just like, I
It's
don't speak
halftime.
Spanish.
If you're a football guy, you're a football guy.
Well, also I don't speak Spanish. Nothing against Bad Bunny. I understand there's a lot of people out there that speak Spanish. I don't know what he's saying, so I'm gonna go gas my car up. I know I gotta eat.
So we're kind of in lock. Like it's so polarizing, which is so freaking dumb. Like if you say something positive on the internet about the halftime show, then you hate America, and if you say something negative about it, you're just it's just ridiculous. Like everybody needs to quit taking everything so freaking serious.
Yes.
My thing on the halftime show, I appreciated the production value. Had the little sets, and it looked like a Broadway show, kind of like it was, and the camera angles were cool, and he did the falling backwards and all that kind of, like I appreciated the production value of it.
Yeah.
It's just a lot to ask of me to sit there for 10 minutes and not hear a single word.
Literally.
Like that's a tough ask. I'm sorry. Like I listen to music that most of the country deems to be terrible. I listen to bro country. I'm perfectly aware that most people think this is awful music. It's fine. I think it's good. I like it. So like I didn't know if Bad Bunny was a male or a female a week ago. Okay. No idea. Didn't know if Bad Bunny was a rapper. I didn't know anything about Bad Bunny. Then I found out that he won Grammy or Album of the Year. Like clearly there's huge appeal. And the thought is that Roger Goodell is like trying to play to the international audience, and like I understand everybody's trying to make money, whatever. I just am not gonna really jive with the halftime show that I can't understand. No. That doesn't mean he's bad. And I think there is like my wife's brother doesn't watch football ever under any circumstance.
Okay.
And he watched last night because he's a big music guy and he loves Bad Bunny. So like you are clearly pulling people in.
Yeah, 100%.
And my wife doesn't really like to watch a lot of football, and she liked to watch the halftime show last night, and she thought it was good. I'm here for the football. If you put a good halftime show on, that's awesome. If I think it's awful, who cares? It's the halftime show. I don't really care that much, but I think it's a lot to ask the country to be enthralled with a halftime show they cannot understand.
No, 100%. But I agree with you at the point where it's like just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
No.
Like that. That's
They're
the main point.
gonna kick off in 10 minutes, no matter if you like it or not.
Literally, Hunt. Like that's the main takeaway from all of this. That it doesn't have to be a divider. Like, oh, well, he can't speak. He's not speaking English. Well, you know what?
I did. I jumped over to I pulled up on my phone that Turning Point USA halftime show with all the country acts. Like I know all those songs. There were like 5-6 million people watching it. I watched for like 20 seconds and turned it off and went back and cleaned the kitchen up. But whatever. Cassie, were you into the halftime show?
I didn't watch Bad Bunny.
Okay.
I watched the other one actually.
No, okay. Turning Point.
That one was pretty good. Kid Rock was a little rough, but
I didn't get to the Kid Rock.
What do you expect?
I think
from Kid
Gabby
Rock?
Barrett was singing when I was in there. But I mean, whatever. We're passing time here.
But that's the thing I'm getting at is that it's just music, everybody.
I think regardless, like it's just
It's
whatever
just
you want to
music.
listen to. Like it doesn't really matter what
Thank
it says.
you.
About you.
It's like I'm out there like I don't care to listen to a halftime show where I can't understand the words. I mean, you said the same thing, but the people that would say that's like a ridiculous thing and like nobody knows who that is or what, like
That's
he's
crazy.
the #1 streamed artist on Spotify. It's not like this is not a complete reach here. He's the Grammy winner for Album of the Year. So like this is not some obscure guy that nobody's heard of. I just happen to have my head in the sand when it comes to everything that's not SEC baseball. So I don't know who it is. But like I was fine with it.
Look, Hunt, and I just saw like the NFL posted it on YouTube. It's already got 24 million views.
Yeah.
And it's only been up for like a couple hours. People care about Bad Bunny. It's
By the way, we said we were going to get to my bets. Travion Henderson, anytime touchdown. Any quarter to be scoreless. The first 2 quarters had 3 points. Each team to have a touchdown and a field goal in both halves. Kayshawn Boutte over 30 receiving yards in the fourth quarter. Missed them all. That's $100 lit on fire, baby.
a couple of them was good at the time.
They were soundly thought out. They were disastrous, as usual. There's a reason I don't bet. I never win. Come back after Sports Center and talk some LSU basketball.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Now under new ownership as of October the 1st. The Fabry family took over there at the Chevy GMC store in St. Francisville. You know the family. They've been in business here for 35 years, 3 locations, 5 brands. You get amazing customer service. You get fantastic service after the sale. It's a great buying experience. Go by and see the Fabry family. They're at Highway 61 in St. Francisville. If you're looking for a truck, February is the month. It is the month to go get a truck. Chevy Silverados up to $11,000 off MSRP or 1.9 APR financing. GMC Sierras up to $13,000 off MSRP, 0.0% APR financing. So if you want a Chevy Silverado, you're looking at a GMC Sierra, you're looking at 5-figure savings over at Fabry Chevrolet GMC. You can check out the entire inventory. It's online at fabrychevrolet.com. You can also go see them Highway 61 in St. Francisville. Check them out online, fabrychevrolet.com.